I got to kick this thing off. Can I kick it off? 1, 2, 3, 4. Ladies and gentlemen, listen.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy Marv V, and you are listening to another episode of the Man Listen Show. Before we get started, let's hear a few words from our sponsors.
DD's Daiquiris is your #1 supplier of premium daiquiri mixes. You will love the taste of our classic margarita and signature strawberry mixes. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at DD's Daiquiris. DD is spelled DEEDEE. You can also find us at www.dd'sdaiquiris.com. DD's Daiquiris, giving good vibes to good people, one good drink at a time.
Please buy the new book by Erika Nicole Moore, Diabolical Tales of Woe. Diabolical Tales of Woe is a thrilling collection of short horror stories that leave you in an excited trepidation to see what will happen next. Prepare to face one horrific encounter after the next in this captivating novel. You can find this book on Amazon in the Kindle and paperback version. That is Diabolical Tales of Woe by Erika Nicole Moore. Are you in the state of Texas and looking for a knowledgeable loan advisor that will walk you through the process from application to closing? Well, then you need to contact Joe Byers at Trinity Oaks Mortgage. Trinity Oaks Mortgage offers FHA, VA, and conventional loans. They also have a first-time homebuyers program available. There is also down payment assistance available as well. Make sure you contact Joe Byers at Trinity Oaks Mortgage. You can reach Joe at 972-512-8990.
More Grace Counseling and Mediation Services offers individual and relationship counseling as well as mediation services to the community. At More Grace, healthy partnerships are valuable and beneficial. Please visit the website www.moregracecounseling.com for more information about our approach to counseling. More Grace Counseling and Mediation Services, where we offer more grace and more healing.
Conversate with Us Radio presents the Man Listen Show. We are the blackest radio show on the internet. We bring you our opinion on topics that affect the Black community in an effort to enlighten, enrich, and empower every brother and sister that falls under the sound of our voice. We operate on a no-hating frequency, so be prepared for us to keep it 100% real and 100% Black all the time. You can find the show on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Man Listen Show. You can also listen to the show on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, basically anywhere you can find a podcast. Please share the show and use the hashtag ManListen. I'm your host, Marv B. Today, we got another special guest with us, Attorney Natasha Sara-Lorraine. Attorney Natasha, how you doing?
Doing well. How are you?
Doing good. So I wanted to have you back. You know, we did a show together where we talked about the happenings in the state of Georgia, trying to turn Georgia blue, and y'all did it. You pulled it off. Right? How's it feel?
It feels amazing. I mean, you know, we mobilized and we galvanized the troops, and we really were able to get a lot of new voters, voters of color, younger voters, to be a part of this election. And my hope is that that has encouraged people in believing that your vote does matter. You do have a voice. Your voice does have a true impact on who can be leading our country, who can be leading our state, and leading our communities. So it feels very good for Georgia to have turned blue. Shout out to Stacey Abrams for all of the work that she did, that Fair Fight Action did, and all the other grassroots campaigns and organizers. They were boots to pavement, and they really made our dreams come true.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So the reason why we got you back on the show is because we know that the other side, the Republicans, they don't take losses well.
Right.
and they are already plotting and strategizing to try to minimize our vote. I read a book not too long ago, well, a few years ago. It's called Dark Money by Jane Myers. Excellent book. And it talked about the fallout that happened after the first election of President Barack Obama, and how the Republicans put in a strategy into place that they were going to take over all of the state houses. They wanted all of the state houses on the representative and the Senate side. They wanted all the governor's mansions, because what people didn't know, while we were throwing a pep rally for having President Obama in office, they knew that they needed to try to tip the scales so that all those people who were mobilized and galvanized couldn't do the same thing again. So what we're seeing now all across America, but especially in Georgia, that's why we have you on, because you're based in Atlanta.
Yes.
We see state house representatives putting forward proposed laws to help limit the vote. What are you seeing in Georgia, and how is it affecting Black people in particular?
Yeah, so the Republicans, they are doing just that. What you just described, it's history repeating itself. The Republicans are putting forth bills that will further disenfranchise Black and brown voters. And they are doing it under the guise of election integrity bills, is what they're calling it, or election security bills, where they claim, based on, the false allegations that there was voter fraud and the mail-in system was flawed. They are doing it under the guise of that. And so there are two major bills in the Georgia Assembly that they are attempting to pass, Senate Bill 241 and House Bill 531. So crossover day for Georgia was Monday, March 8th. What crossover day means is it is the day that specific bills cross from one legislative chamber to the other. Unfortunately, both of these bills have crossed over. So Senate Bill 241 is now in the House for Georgia, and House Bill 531 is now in the Senate. Okay. So what do these bills mean? So Senate Bill 241 and House Bill 531 are basically voter suppression bills. Okay. Senate bill, it will end the no excuse absentee voting. I'm going to say that again. It will end the no excuse mail-in voting, which has been in effect for the last 15 years.
And
so
basically that's because Trump and the Republicans tried to say that the mail-in votes were all fraud, even though he just recently requested a mail-in vote down in Florida. We ain't gonna talk about that, but that's the reason why they're attacking.
Talk about it. You
that's
are absolutely
attacking the absentee vote. Yeah.
You are absolutely right. I mean, the Republicans are running scared because they know that they're in a political death spiral, is what one of the legislators called it. I love the way she described it, a political death spiral, after Georgia being flipped blue, and just after the response from the election last year. I mean, the runoff election, the general election, it was just unprecedented. The amount of younger voters and voters of color that came out, and our votes made a difference. So so one of the things that the Senate bill will do is end the no excuse mail-in voting. Like I said, that's been in effect in Georgia for 15 years. But now they're trying to implement requirements that would allow you to vote via mail. They are also attempting to implement new ID requirements. They will add a witness requirement for the mail voters. So I did, which is crazy, right? I did mail-in voting last year. And when you put your ballot in the envelope, there's an oath you have to sign. And the only reason someone else would sign the envelope with you is if you were in a position where you needed someone to assist you with completing your ballot, if you're elderly or if there's some sort of qualifying disability. But now they're saying anybody that does mail-in voting, you will have to have a witness that signs off on that envelope, which is going to further complicate the process.
Yeah, I've seen in other places where you may have to get it notarized. And it's just an additional step that they're trying to add to try to get people discouraged to go through voting.
Yep. Another thing that they're trying to do is restrict mobile voting buses. So in some of our counties, I'm sure you saw the national news that the lines were extremely long at the polls.
Yes.
And so what some of the counties did, and Fulton County was one of them, they had mobile voting buses that will come through and kind of alleviate the people that were in those long poll lines. They could actually use the mobile voting buses as an opportunity to cast their vote instead of standing in line for hours waiting to get into the poll. So those are some of the things that the Senate bill is trying to get through. Now, the House bill, and I have my notes because I want to make sure I give you accurate information, okay?
And the thing that I saw that stood out to me was they said they were targeting what they call quote unquote line warming. So when people were going out and giving folks refreshments, because, you know,
Yep.
it's only in the Black neighborhoods where they minimize the number of polling places. So where people, mostly blue collar people who don't have a lot of time to take off from work, have
Exactly.
in line for hours and hours at a time. And, you know, you want to give them food, give them water, just to keep them encouraged to stay, hold the line. Now they want to get rid of that.
Yep. And so that is one of the things under the House bill. So the House bill and the Senate bill, essentially, they are kind of saying the same thing, but they are filling in for gaps for each other. The Senate bill doesn't talk about the issue of giving food and refreshments, but the House bill does. So they are trying to restrict you giving that. I mean, almost as if that's a way to sway people's votes when it wasn't. It's simply what you said. It was a way, it was a kind gesture for people standing in line for long periods of time, to keep people encouraged. But yeah, that's one of the things that the House bill is looking to eliminate is that, you know, particular thing, people providing food and refreshments to those that are in long lines. It also wants to end the no excuse absentee voting, require IDs to request your absentee ballot. Right now in Georgia, you don't necessarily have to have a driver's license or state ID to get the absentee ballot. But now they're trying to require that you do. So there's just a variety of components of both of these bills that will just, like I said, further complicate the process and just make it more difficult for people like us, like, you know, our communities to go out and vote. And it's a way to discourage them from voting so they can prevent Georgia from continuing to be blue.
You know, because they did this in North Carolina. They did it in North Carolina where you saw the churches when they had souls to the poll and they church on Sunday. I see in Georgia they're trying to reduce the number of Sunday voting days of Sunday.
Yep.
Trying to restrict that. So in North Carolina, they got real devious with it, and they asked, "How did the Black vote turn out?" So eliminating the souls to the poll on Sunday. Eliminating the number of voting locations at the different HBCUs in North Carolina is full of HBCUs. Anything they could do to restrict, and make no mistake about it, when Trump was talking about voter election fraud and all the different states where he was filing suit, those are places where Black people were at. I mean, it's really what it was. He was going.
And the same thing's happening here too with the weekend voting, and they're trying to restrict that as well. And we have souls to the polls as well. So that's going to negatively affect people's opportunity to cast their vote too. Right. And so yeah, it's really, really unfortunate. It's bad politics. Another thing that they are trying to do is limit the amount of drop boxes for you to drop off your absentee ballot. So, you know, last year there were so many different locations. A lot of them were outside. They were bolted down to the ground. It was under video surveillance 24/7. But now they're trying to move them so that they will be in the inside of government buildings. And, you know, obviously they would only be open for a certain amount of time, which will probably be less hours than what they were available for last year. So they are really trying to hit us at all angles and doing everything that they can to squeeze out Black and brown voters and younger voters.
So what can be done? I mean, we know we can vote and try to get those elected officials who are, you know, trying to pull off the shenanigans. I saw there's a county in Georgia, I believe it's Hancock County or Hancock County. Ooh. The person who drafted the House bill, the HR bill, he's actually like the county attorney. He holds a position with the county. And the people say, hey man, you're trying to suppress our vote. We don't want you in office. So they're actually picketing locally to get him out because he's the person that drafted this. He also holds a state position as well. So is there anything that we can do? I mean, because this is happening all over. I mean, Georgia's just a microcosm of
Yeah,
what's happening.
it is.
But
It's happening nationwide.
but is there anything that we can do aside from waiting until the next election season and
Mhm.
voting them out? Is there anything that we can do?
We need to amplify our voices. We need to use our voices. And what does that mean? A lot of people do not realize that you can personally reach out to your senator or to your representative. You can email them, you can call them, you can hit them up on Instagram or Facebook. A lot of them are on social media.
They're all on Twitter. They're all on
Yeah, they're
Twitter.
on Twitter. You can send them direct messages. You can at them on Twitter, send them direct messages and voice your concerns. Say, hey, my name is such and such. I'm a resident of X County and I'm contacting you regarding HB 531 or, the Senate bill. So you need to express your concern. You need to reach out to your legislators, your state legislators, and voice the issue that you have with the bill. Encourage them to vote it down. And that's one of the best things that you can do. And also get your friends and your family to do the same thing. Don't be the only person that's doing it. You need to galvanize your community and your inner circle to get them to do the same thing. So that is something that we can do. Because these bills are still in the legislative chamber. They have crossed over, but you still do have the opportunity to advocate that they kill the bill.
I like that. So final question, and you just talked about it. How do we keep our people motivated? Because we often see the big national elections. We have a massive turnout. Trump was such an existential threat that everybody was like, you know what, even if I'm not really a fan of Biden, we got to get this dude up out of here. And we saw what happened in Georgia. Folks were motivated. They got out and we got him out of office, right? But these local elections matter. There's a reason why they're going out to the governor's mansions. And it affects us. We look at this pandemic that we just had, that we're still going through. Look at this pandemic. I live in Texas. Our governor just eliminated the mask mandate. So now you got people out here with no masks, just being unsafe.
Yes.
This dude has been in office and we need to get him out of here. People, the county commissioners, people who are over like your law enforcement, your roads, your schools, it matters, but people only seem to get motivated at the big ticket. How do we keep them motivated?
I know. I think the best way we can keep them motivated is create awareness, continue to have conversations like this, and advocate for your local elections. You're so right. People forget about the local elections, but I think that's by design. I think, historically, more of an emphasis is put on the national election, the general election, and not on, your local communities, your DAs, your county commissioners, your mayors, and, the individuals that really impact your community, your school boards. So the best thing we can do is create awareness and continue talking about the importance of local elections. Another thing we could do is, just remember how much of an impact our voices had last year in the runoffs earlier this year and last year during the general election. I just want people to remember like how much of an impact that was. I mean, we were able to get Trump out of office, flip Georgia blue. And we have these Republicans running scared. They are terrified right now. So the best thing that you can do is just continue to use your voice to vote. I would say get involved too, find ways that you can get involved with organizations that advocate for voter education and that talk about ways to prevent voter suppression. Get involved in your community or just be a voice on your social media page, create awareness that way. Talk to people in your circle, talk to your friends, talk to your family, and get to know your legislators, get to know those senators and those representatives. And when you have bills like the HB 531 and the Senate bill that we discussed, that we are wanting to kill, contact your legislators, call them, email them. And like I said, hit them up on social media. Those are the things that we can really do. That should be our call to action, to help make sure that we keep our voices heard, and that we do what we can to stop these attempts to suppress the vote for Black and Brown communities.
Well, Attorney Natasha Sara-Lorraine, you did an awesome job as usual.
Thank you.
Definitely have you back because we want to keep abreast of what's going on in Georgia. Because, like I said, Georgia is becoming like Georgia's becoming the litmus test of what's going to happen across the country, and everybody knows Georgia. Everybody, like I said before, everybody got somebody in Atlanta. You know what I mean? Everybody knows somebody in Atlanta, and people have to realize that Georgia ain't just Atlanta. When you get outside of Atlanta,
people forget that. They forget that all the time.
So we'll definitely have you back on. I appreciate you, and we'll see you next time. Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. It was my pleasure, and I look forward to coming back. Next time, we'll talk about the federal bills.
Absolutely.
We got to talk about that next time.
Tell people where they can find you. Before we let you go, tell people where
So Attorney NSLB, that is Attorney NSLB on Instagram. You can find me there. On Facebook, Natasha Sara-Lorraine, and I'm also Attorney NSLB on Clubhouse and on Twitter.
Amazing stuff. So if you are a young attorney, make sure you follow her. She's doing a lot of good stuff with the young attorneys, mentoring, and just talking about navigating being in that field. So make sure you look her up. She's a Jill of all trades. She's an attorney. She knows about politics. She knows about it all. So, well,
thank you. From your lips to God's ears.
Everybody, thank you for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the show. Make sure you give us a thumbs up. Make sure you share the show. This is some good, powerful information. People need to know about it. Tell people to subscribe to the blackest radio show on the internet, the Man Listen Show. We'll holler at you next time. Peace.